What if I told you that the thing you crave most, the warmth of love, the safety of affection, is also the very weapon used to control you? That every smile, every tender word, could be nothing more than a calculated move in a game of power? This is not the story you want to hear, but it is the truth you need to face. Tonight, I will reveal the terrifying reality about love, loyalty, and control, and once you hear it, you will never look at human connection the same way again. People often imagine love as the safest place a human being can find. We grow up told that love is a refuge, a warm shield, a promise that someone will protect us from the storms of life. But the truth, a truth so few dare to face, is that love is the greatest trap of all. It is the one thing that makes us predictable, transparent, and exposed. When someone loves you, or when you crave their love, you are no longer free. You become readable, vulnerable, and easy to control. Think about it, how many smiles in this world are masks? How many kind gestures are given not out of purity, but out of hidden self-interest? Beneath warmth often hides selfishness, cruelty, or calculation. Niccolo Machiavelli, centuries ago, warned of this reality. He studied human behavior and concluded that people are fickle, selfish, and often cruel. Love, he argued, is not a shield, it is a cage. And those who depend on it become captives without realizing it. Most of us want to believe that being loved gives us power. That it means security. That when someone cares, we are safe. But in practice, the opposite is true. Being loved makes us easier to predict. And what can be predicted can be controlled. Real power never comes from needing love. Real power is born from detachment and independence. From the very beginning of our lives, society conditions us to chase affection. As children, we depend on the smiles of our parents. As teenagers, we crave acceptance from friends. As adults, we search for partners who validate our worth. This endless pursuit makes us blind to the cost. We surrender our control. We hand over pieces of our freedom just for the illusion of safety. Machiavelli saw it clearly, people are loyal only when it serves them. Their faithfulness lasts only as long as they gain something from it. The moment misfortune arrives, masks fall. Those who once swore devotion vanish. And yet, countless men and women lower their standards, tolerate betrayal, and accept disrespect, all for the chance to keep being loved. The ones who truly rise in power know something different. They do not rely on being loved. They cultivate respect, authority, and yes, even fear. Love is a tool for them, not a foundation. They use it when necessary, but never depend on it for survival. This is the illusion most people never break free from. They think affection is a gift, when in reality it is often a leash. And the tighter that leash is pulled, the more control slips away from the one wearing it. Detachment, then, is not cruelty. It is strategy. It is clarity. Dependence on love exposes every weakness, detachment covers them. Machiavelli's infamous words, "It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both," were never meant as pure cruelty. They were survival. A recognition that affection can be withdrawn in a heartbeat, but respect, boundaries, and even fear create stability. The master of life is not the one drowning in affection, but the one who sees clearly. The one who observes people for who they are, not for who he or she wishes them to be. To detach is to reclaim sovereignty. It is to refuse to let your value be measured by the shifting emotions of others. Look closer at daily life and you will see how love becomes a currency. Every compliment, every smile, every "I care about you," is a subtle investment. People deposit these small tokens not out of pure generosity, but because they know they can withdraw something later. Your compliance. Your forgiveness. Your loyalty. And it works. A simple text message, a like on social media, a word of praise, these crumbs of affection create the illusion of care. But they are not free. They build an invisible ledger. When the time comes, manipulators collect. And the person who thought they were cherished realizes too late that they were only controlled. This is why indifference is more dangerous than hatred. Hatred is obvious. Indifference confuses, destabilizes, and manipulates silently. When you detach, when you refuse to be predictable in your need for love, you rob manipulators of their most powerful weapon. They cannot control what they cannot read. So the heart must become a fortress. Not every smile deserves entry. Not every word of kindness deserves belief. Love offered freely, without boundaries, becomes a leash wrapped tightly around your own throat. Detachment is not cruelty, it is sovereignty. It allows you to watch others without illusion, to recognize intentions for what they are, and to act only for your peace or your benefit. The world respects unpredictability. When you detach, people sense it. Manipulators hesitate. Those who feed on emotional dependencies suddenly fear you, because you are no longer predictable. You are no longer prey. You are the storm they cannot control. Detachment frightens people because it feels unnatural. Most humans are addicted to affection the way an addict clings to a drug. Approval, attention, validation, these small doses of love keep them coming back for more. And manipulators know this. They know how to feed you just enough to keep you hooked. A smile here, a compliment there, a sudden silence when they want you to chase. This cycle repeats until you forget that you ever had freedom. But when you step outside of this addiction, everything changes. The moment you stop needing affection, you step into a position that is powerful, enviable, and yes, terrifying. You become unknowable. Manipulators lose confidence because their favorite tools, guilt, flattery, sympathy, no longer work. You no longer respond the way everyone else does. You have broken the pattern. This is where the truth about human nature becomes impossible to ignore. Humans are selfish. Their loyalty is conditional. Their kindness exists only as long as it does not conflict with their own desires. And betrayal is not rare, it is inevitable. It arrives in whispers, in small concessions, in subtle disappointments hidden behind laughter and smiles. To depend on affection is to hand over a weapon to others. It is to give them invisible leverage against you. They will never say it outright, but your need for them becomes the chain they quietly tug whenever they wish. Survival demands something different. It demands detachment. Not a cold hatred of people, but a clear-eyed observation of what they are. You see patterns of convenience. You see loyalty bend the moment fear or desire enters the room. And you no longer mistake betrayal for surprise, you accept it as part of the human fabric. This clarity changes everything. The less you depend on others for love, the stronger you become. Betrayal no longer shatters you, it simply confirms what you already knew, that loyalty is not permanent, affection is not unconditional, and dependence is a trap. People will look at this clarity and call it coldness. They will say you lack warmth, that you cannot truly connect. But in reality, what you have achieved is mastery. Mastery over your own desire. Mastery over your own expectations. The pain that once consumed you becomes manageable, because you no longer see it as personal. You see it as natural. And in that shift, you become free. Predators, emotional predators, exist everywhere. They wear friendly faces. They laugh easily. They speak in tones that sound sincere. But their actions never match their words. This is the first sign. Inconsistency. Their promises sound beautiful, but their behavior betrays them. They know exactly how to test your boundaries. A little guilt to see if you bend. A little flattery to see if you'll give in. A little sympathy to make you forgive what should never be forgiven. It is a game. A silent, invisible game of control. They create dependency not through chains but through emotions. They teach you to doubt yourself. To believe you need their affection to be whole. And when that dependency is secure, they hold power over every decision you make. But detachment destroys this game. When you detach, you see through the bait. You recognize guilt as manipulation, flattery as strategy, sympathy as a weapon. Their control collapses because you no longer crave what they withhold. This is why boundaries are not luxuries, they are fortresses. Every time you let someone step over them, you weaken yourself. Every concession is a crack in the wall. But when your boundaries are firm, when you say no without hesitation, manipulators retreat. They cannot play a game where the rules are fixed. Detachment is not indifference. It is vigilance. It is the constant awareness that not every smile is pure, not every promise is real, and not every act of kindness is given without cost. To detach is to choose distance where distance is required. To engage without need. To step into relationships not as a starving beggar searching for affection, but as a sovereign being who can walk away at any moment. And that changes the entire balance of power. Suddenly, relationships become choices, not necessities. Connections become strategic engagements, not survival mechanisms. Love itself becomes transformed, not a trap, but a tool. Something you may give, something you may accept, but never something you are enslaved by. This is the shift from prey to predator. The one who craves love is always vulnerable. The one who controls that craving in themselves becomes untouchable. And mastery begins here. Most people never reach it. They remain caught in the cycle, chasing affection, begging for loyalty, and falling victim again and again. They refuse to accept the darker truth of human nature. But those who do, the few who embrace detachment, gain freedom. They learn to observe, to protect themselves, to detach emotionally when needed. And in this mastery, they discover control. They discover peace. Detachment makes you untouchable. It sharpens your vision, clears your mind, and allows you to act with precision. Where others are clouded by desire and fear, you move with clarity. Where others are predictable, you are not. And this unpredictability becomes its own form of power. Fear and detachment, when combined, reshape how the world sees you. People respect what they cannot control. Manipulators fear what they cannot read. And when you truly understand human nature, that selfish, fickle, conditional loyalty, you no longer play the game as a victim. You play it as a master.
The final stage of mastery comes when you no longer chase love, validation, or approval. When you see with absolute clarity that the greatest power is not in controlling others, it is in controlling yourself. Think carefully. Every time you sought someone's affection, every time you bent your will to keep their approval, you surrendered a piece of yourself. You gave them the ability to define your worth. And in that moment, they held the power, not you. But when you detach, when you stand without needing their praise or their comfort, something extraordinary happens. You reclaim sovereignty. You take back what was always yours, the right to decide who you are, without permission. This is the terrifying truth. Love is not unconditional. It is conditional, transactional, and often weaponized. Loyalty is not eternal, it is convenient. Affection is not pure, it is strategic. And to depend on these illusions is to make yourself a pawn in someone else's game. Detachment is the escape. It does not mean emptiness. It does not mean you cannot feel. It means you see clearly. You recognize manipulation before it reaches you. You protect your peace by refusing to hand it over for scraps of attention. When you set boundaries, when you treat relationships as choices rather than necessities, manipulators lose all advantage. They cannot guilt you, flatter you, or cage you with affection. Their tricks fall flat because you no longer play by their rules. Think of it like a chessboard. Most people play emotionally, sacrificing their pieces for the illusion of love. But the master treats every move strategically. They know when to engage, when to retreat, and when to walk away altogether. They understand that the game is not about winning someone's heart, it is about never losing your sovereignty. The world is cruel. Human nature is selfish. This is not a reason for despair, it is a reason for clarity. Once you accept it, you stop being shocked by betrayal. You stop being devastated by conditional loyalty. You stop mistaking manipulation for love. Instead, you walk through life with eyes open. You give affection only when you choose, not when you crave. You connect with others because you want to, not because you need to. And in this freedom, you find the one thing that endless chasing never gave you, peace. This mastery is rare. Most people remain addicted to affection until their last breath. But for those who embrace detachment, life transforms. Fear becomes an ally. Independence becomes strength. Clarity becomes protection. And here lies the deepest power of all. When you no longer depend on others for love, you cannot be broken. Manipulators fail. Predators retreat. The world, for the first time, sees you not as prey, but as untouchable. So stop chasing. Stop begging. Stop handing over your power for the illusion of safety. Love, friendship, loyalty, these are not guarantees. They are currencies, exchanged in the marketplace of human desire. The only guarantee is the sovereignty you claim when you detach. The fortress you build when you protect your heart. The freedom you win when you master yourself. That is the terrifying truth about love and power. Those who crave love remain captives. Those who detach rise above the game. And in a world ruled by selfishness and betrayal, freedom belongs only to those who dare to embrace the darkness and turn it into light.